Good morning, and welcome back to another Saturday Somm-things with Mats. Hi, I'm Mats, and happy Earth Day. Today I have a returning guest, Chris Rowe from Old Bridge Cellars, and it's all about being organic, biodynamic, sustainable, earth-friendly, and Argonaut is definitely earth-friendly. We consider ourselves green because we recycle all of our cardboard that's not used for boxes. And today, if you ask myself, Miss Sheila, any manager, we are giving away for the first 50 people a reusable Argonaut tote bag. It holds 6 bottles and you can reuse it again and again, and it's free. All you have to do is just ask. It's such a great treat. So today we have 4 beautiful wines, 2 from Australia, 1 from Oregon, and 1 from New Zealand that are earth-friendly, biodynamic, and Chris is here to tell us all about them. Chris, welcome back.
Thank you for having me as always. Cheers.
Yes.
Now, your bags are only good if they carry 6 bottles out with them. So it is much more friendly earth-wise if you carry bottles out.
That's
to
true.
create more room in your
true.
store.
Okay.
A couple of these we've had on before, but since it's Earth Day today, we're going to highlight some of my favorite organic and sustainable producers here.
Okay.
Mats, I'm going to let you talk a little bit about what you taste in the wines, but I really want to focus on what the wines are all about and what makes them sustainable. As a company, this is our 30th anniversary, so we've been doing this for 30 years. A lot of our vineyards have been working sustainably and organic for that whole time, before it was fashionable, because it was really the right thing for them to do. Take care of the earth, and the earth will take care of you.
Right.
If you plant one specific crop in an area for too long without regenerating the earth becomes fallow, and you don't have a great crop. So it's very important to keep your fruit on the cusp of making sure your vineyards are sustainable, your soil is healthy, and it makes a better wine and a better earth as we go through it.
Right.
So the first wine you have is an old friend of Argonaut. You guys have been supporting Deerenberg for over 30 years.
Sure.
Yeah, this wine actually predates us as an importer, but it was the very first wine we started with in 1993. One of our oldest. They are 5 generations strong. Chester became the winemaker in the 80s, and he undertook a process that he thought would kill his dad, because his dad was worried they would never be able to make any grapes when Chester stopped using pesticides and herbicides. And he has gone so far as actually to bring sheep in to raise the cover crop instead of using pesticides. They actually pull horse-drawn carriages through the vineyards now to pick the grapes instead of trucks, like they did in the old days. So he's really gone hyper back into what they did in the 50s and 60s before modernization of winemaking became possible. His dedication is organic and biodynamic, and he has about a half of his vineyards now certified as organic.
I like that. So this is a Viognier Marsanne. Usually you have Viognier Marsanne Roussanne, but not today. From Australia, it's a nice representation. I'm getting a little lemon lime, a little lemon curd, verbena. Very soft, very delicate, very underpriced.
They have this wonderful knack of pulling great acidity out of these 2 grapes, which don't normally have it.
It's so smooth.
And I get the beautiful peach and apricot from Viognier all the time. This is my favorite go-to everyday wine.
I like them.
And you always have this for $15 or less. It's such a value.
Miss Sheila will have these on sale, which leads us to our first red.
So Maison Lamboyer, this is actually it's a big anniversary day, I feel, for us here. So this is the 10th anniversary for us in Oregon. The initial philosophy behind Maison Lamboyer, and especially the 2 messengers, is volcanic soils. And we wanted to be biodiverse and finding organic and sustainable vineyards that we could work with. And that all translates into what this wine has become.
Right.
So we only work with sustainable and organic growers. The vineyards that we own, we farm organically as well. It is meticulously hand-picked, and then it's destemmed, and we do whole berry fermentation with it, about 25% new oak, but it means nothing of how we make it if it doesn't come from grapefruit in the beginning. And that's where Two Messengers really finds its hallmark and its wheelhouse.
It's beautiful. I'm getting cassis and bright cherries, little raspberry. I would pair this with flank steak, skirt steak, shrimp. Even though winter has returned today to Denver with a vengeance, you can still grill out or have something baked in the oven that would really, really set this wine on fire.
And the 21 vintages was beautiful, especially
was.
after the devastating 20 vintage.
Mm-hmm.
We were blessed with a beautiful wine and a beautiful harvest, and this is one of my favorite wines we've made from Oregon so far.
It's a great Pinot.
So
Great
the
Pinot.
second red is Penley Estate, which has been another long-term friend of Argonaut. They have been certified organic for the last decade. This is their 32nd harvest. But what's unique about this particular vintage, this is the 21, is they've gone full-blown, all feet into what they want to do for sustainability. So as you see this little label here, it is now a new eco-friendly bottle. So they reduced 30% of the weight on the bottle.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going top down at everything they're doing at Penley to make it much more sustainable. They will be carbon neutral in the next 5 years as well. They've always done organic practices in the vineyard, and now they want to see how they can, because you're taking it essentially halfway across the world.
Right.
So 30% less weight on their packaging and using different cardboard to pack it in as well makes all the difference from coming out. This has been a 90-point wine consistently. This vintage just got 92 points from Wine Enthusiast, so it continues that great string of vineyards and vintages that Kate Goodman's been able to put out for us.
Right. And the two winemakers, by the way, are female, Kate and Lauren. And this being a Cabernet from Australia, I'm getting a lot of herbaceousness, a lot of sage and green pepper, black olive, currant, which is
That's pretty indicative for Coonawarra,
Right,
and the
right.
south part of South Australia
absolutely
is home for beautiful parts of Cabernet, and one of the best places for Cabernet in all of Australia. And Kate has really honed and fine-tuned this wonderful Phoenix Cabernet. And again, another great value. If you put this up against any Cabernet, if this was from Napa Valley, this would be a $50 bottle
Sure,
of wine. As
sure.
it is now, it's less than 20 and a great value.
I like
Now,
it.
you might be asking why we're going back to white mats. So
Okay.
we're going to finish
Why are we?
with one of my favorite wineries. It's out of New Zealand. This is Grey Wacky, but it is a wine that's so intensely aromatic and powerful
right.
that it holds its own after the red
Wow.
wines. And I really like to taste this at the end of all of it, so it actually gives all the other wines a fighting chance, right?
Gorgeous.
So Kevin Judd was the founding winemaker for Cloudy Bay. He is considered the godfather of New Zealand
Sure.
Sauvignon Blanc. He has had Grey Wacky now for over a decade. One of the most heralded Sauvignon Blancs in all the world. This previous vintage was top 100 for Wine Spectator. He only works with vineyards that are certified sustainable through the New Zealand Vineyards Society.
Sure.
So that's a commitment he started even before he was working and had his own label, Grey Wacky. The Grey Wacky is a nod to the compressed sandstone, so the river rock that's the base of the soil. Those are the vineyards he also picks out because he loves the characteristic that comes through. He's very meticulous on very low yield and very fine crafted Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah.
We get 15,000 cases
Okay.
a vintage, so not a whole lot. Decanter just gave this 94 points last
I
week.
can see that.
So we've got a wonderful, it does a little bit of wild yeast fermentation, but he also does barrel age and barrel ferment. So it sets it
Sure.
apart from the other Sauvignon Blancs coming from New Zealand by actually trying to really make a fine, top-notch Sauvignon Blanc.
And this is the 2022 vintage,
Correct.
so it is just intoxicating on the nose. It is dynamic on the palate, and usually I use this word for red wines, but it's very unctuous. It's very grapefruit and pomelo and kiwi and lychee and everything you want in a Sauvignon Blanc, but it's also delicate. It has finesse and balance. I love this wine.
So there are many people who don't particularly care for your everyday New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc.
Right.
And when I taste them on this, they say, this is the only New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc I like.
It's beautiful.
And it really holds its own against the world styles of Sauvignon Blanc.
Right.
More consistent with what you'd get from Sensei Loire Valley than
Sure,
what you'd associate with the everyday New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc.
It pops, it's in your face, it's intense, and I love it. So Chris, thank you for joining me and the rest of our
My
audience
pleasure.
out there for Earth Day. And everybody come on down, get yourself a free Earth Day reusable tote from Argonaut. Thanks for your support. And Chris, I hope to see you again soon.
Cheers, thank you.
And once again, happy Earth Day. Thanks for these wines. They're great. They're gorgeous.
Good way to start a Saturday.
I know.
Yeah.